One-shoe rule. In the NFL, losing a shoe doesn't mean losing the play. According to the one-shoe rule, a player is allowed to continue participating in a live play even if their shoe comes off, as long as their helmet remains on. The logic is simple. While a missing shoe might be uncomfortable or slippery, it doesn't pose the same immediate safety risk as a missing helmet. Only when a player's helmet is removed during play is the action stopped immediately for protection. This unusual but practical rule highlights the league's balance between safety and letting the game flow. Fair catch kick rule. One of the rarest and most unusual rules in football is the fair catch kick rule. After a team makes a fair catch on a punt, they have the option to attempt a field goal directly from the spot of the catch, without a snap and without defensive pressure. The kicker can take a free shot with the defense standing still. It's a legal but almost forgotten rule, mainly because it requires perfect field position, precise timing, and a strong-legged kicker. The last successful fair catch kick happened in 1976, making it a fascinating relic of NFL strategy that still technically exists. The drop kick is a throwback to football's earliest days, and though still legal, it's almost extinct in the modern game. It involves dropping the ball and kicking it as it bounces off the ground, a method that can be used to score field goals or extra points. The technique is incredibly difficult due to the unpredictable bounce of the football, especially on today's fast turf. That's why it's rarely even attempted. The last successful drop kick in the NFL was by Doug Flutie in 2006, more as a nostalgic stunt than a strategic play. Still, it remains part of the official rulebook. The tuck rule became one of the most controversial rules in NFL history, especially after a pivotal 2002 playoff game between the Patriots and Raiders. According to the rule, if a quarterback began a forward passing motion and then tried to tuck the ball back into his body but lost control, it was ruled an incomplete pass, not a fumble. This saved Tom Brady and helped launch the Patriots dynasty. The rule sparked outrage due to its complexity and perceived unfairness. After years of debate, the NFL officially repealed the tuck rule in 2013, ending one of football's most infamous loopholes. The no-leaping rule, implemented in 2017, was introduced to enhance player safety during field goal and extra point attempts. Before the rule, defenders would try to leap over the offensive line to block kicks, a move that looked spectacular but posed serious injury risks. Leaping over players without touching them required perfect timing and left both the leper and lineman vulnerable to dangerous collisions. Now, if a player attempts to leap over the line, it results in a penalty. This rule may have reduced some dramatic moments, but it reflects the NFL's growing emphasis on protecting its athletes. Fair catch on kickoffs. To reduce the risk of high-speed collisions, the NFL introduced a rule allowing fair catches on kickoffs anywhere inside the 25-yard line. When a returner signals for a fair catch, the play is dead immediately, and the receiving team starts at the 25, just like a touchback. This rule aims to minimize returns and lower injury rates, especially head trauma. However, it has sparked criticism from fans and players who feel it takes excitement out of the game. Despite the backlash, it remains an official rule, prioritizing long-term player health over explosive special teams plays. Illegal batting is a lesser-known rule that penalizes players for intentionally batting or swatting the ball forward to gain an unfair advantage. While instinct might drive a player to push a loose ball toward the end zone or a teammate, doing so deliberately is against the rules. The NFL enforces this to maintain fairness and prevent chaotic, uncontrolled sequences. For example, if a player bats a fumble forward instead of recovering it, officials can penalize the team and nullify the advance. Though rare, the rule ensures that yardage is earned through skillful play, not manipulated through opportunistic swipes. The Holy Roller Rule was created after a chaotic and controversial play in 1978, when the Raiders intentionally fumbled the ball forward to score a game-winning touchdown. To prevent similar exploitation, the NFL established that in the final 2 minutes of a half or on fourth down, only the player who fumbled the ball can advance it. If a teammate recovers the ball and moves it forward, the ball is placed back at the spot of the original fumble. This rule preserves fairness in critical moments, ensuring teams can't manipulate fumbles to gain yards or score in desperate situations. Punt-hitting scoreboard rule. In modern stadiums like AT&T Stadium, nicknamed Jerry World, the video scoreboard hangs so low that it introduced a unique rule. If a punt hits the scoreboard, the down must be replayed. This rule was implemented after several incidents where punts struck the massive overhead screen, disrupting the play. Without this rule, it would be unclear how to handle such interference. Now, whenever a kick contacts the scoreboard, officials blow the play dead and restart it from the original spot. It's a rare occurrence, but one that highlights how stadium design can influence NFL rulemaking. Clock rules for out-of-bounds. The NFL's clock rules for out-of-bounds plays often confuse fans and even players. Many assume the clock always stops when a player goes out of bounds, but that's only partially true. In most of the game, the clock stops temporarily, but resumes once the ball is set. Only in the final 2 minutes of the first half and the last 5 minutes of the second half does the clock remain stopped until the next snap. These nuanced timing rules add a layer of strategy in close games, affecting play calling, clock management, and even the outcome of tight matchups. Intentional grounding. Outside pocket. The intentional grounding rule has a key exception that gives quarterbacks more flexibility under pressure. If the quarterback escapes the tackle box, the area between the offensive tackles, they are allowed to throw the ball away without a penalty, as long as the pass crosses the line of scrimmage. This prevents unnecessary sacks and potential injuries, especially during broken plays. However, if the QB is still inside the pocket and throws the ball without a clear target to avoid a loss, it results in a penalty and loss of down. This rule balances quarterback protection with fair defensive play. Illegal touching by ineligible players. The illegal touching rule penalizes offensive players who aren't eligible receivers, but still touch a forward pass, even accidentally. Linemen, for example, must report as eligible if they plan to catch a pass. If an ineligible player touches the ball, even after a deflection, it results in a penalty and loss of down. This rule can be confusing, especially during chaotic plays with tipped passes, but it exists to maintain clarity and structure in who can legally advance the ball. Teams must carefully declare eligible receivers before the snap to avoid these costly, technical violations that can stall offensive drives. Illegal substitution occurs when a team has too many players on the field, particularly if 12 players are in the huddle or on the field at the time of the snap or even just before it. This tactic can be used to confuse the defense, making them unsure of the actual personnel or play design. However, the NFL penalizes it to ensure fairness and avoid deception outside the bounds of strategy. Even if the ball hasn't been snapped, just breaking the huddle with too many players can result in a 5-yard penalty, potentially derailing offensive momentum in critical moments. The inadvertent whistle rule addresses a frustrating but necessary scenario when an official accidentally blows the whistle during a live play. As soon as the whistle is heard, the play is considered dead, no matter what is happening on the field. This can nullify long gains, turnovers, or even potential touchdowns, leaving players and fans furious. In some cases, the down is replayed. In others, the ball is placed where it was when the whistle blew. While imperfect, this rule prioritizes consistency and safety, ensuring that confusion caused by an official's mistake doesn't escalate into chaos on the field. The Palpably Unfair Act is the NFL's ultimate catch-all rule, giving referees the authority to address extreme, unsportsmanlike behavior not covered by standard penalties. It's rarely invoked, but when it is, the consequences can be severe, including awarding a touchdown or imposing major yardage penalties. A classic example might be a player running off the bench to tackle someone mid-play. Since no regular rule covers such blatant misconduct, officials rely on this rule to preserve the integrity of the game. It exists as a safety net, ensuring that no outrageous act goes unpunished just because it's uncommon or unexpected. Jersey number change. In the NFL, players are actually allowed to change their jersey numbers during a game, but there's a catch: they must notify the officials beforehand. This rule helps maintain transparency, especially when reporting eligibility for certain plays. For instance, a lineman might switch to a number that designates him as an eligible receiver for a trick play. Without proper notice, it could lead to confusion or even penalties for illegal formation or deception. While it's a rare occurrence, this rule ensures that number changes are strategic, not sneaky, keeping gameplay fair and organized for both teams and officials. Snap infractions are subtle but impactful violations that occur during the snap, the moment the center delivers the ball to start a play. Unlike a standard false start, a snap infraction often involves abrupt or deceptive movements by the center that mimic a snap but aren't one, potentially drawing the defense offside. These movements can include flinching, jerking the ball slightly, or pausing mid-motion. While seemingly minor, they can disrupt the defense and are penalized to maintain fairness. The nuances of this rule require officials to closely watch the center, making it one of the most judgment-dependent calls in football.